Hello everyone, this is the official tutorial for ScrapeStorm. This lesson will show you how to set paging in Flowchart mode. Let's get started. In the previous tutorial, we have introduced how to select the data to be scraped in the page. Now, click the list element and select Extract all elements in the list. In the process of extracting elements, the software will ask if automatic paging is required. If you don't want to turn the page, select No, extract only the current web page. If you want to turn the page, select Yes. Like the Smart mode, the Flowchart mode also automatically detects paging, and it will also scroll the page to the position of the Next Page button, marked with a red background box. At the same time, the prompt box will ask whether the paging type is correct. If it is correct, select Yes, and the setting of automatic paging is completed. If it is incorrect, select No, reset paging. Then you will be prompted to select the paging type. They are Next Page button, Scroll to Load, and Scroll to Load plus Next Page button. It needs to be judged based on the current page. Next, let's introduce these three types separately. The first type, Next Page button. This is a common type of paging, that is, there is a button on the page. It may have different shapes in different web pages, but I'll click the button to switch to the next page. After selecting the type, the software will prompt to click the Next Page button in the page. You need to find the correct Next Page button and click it. The second type, Scroll to Load. This type usually doesn't have a Next Page button and scrolls the web page to load new content. After selecting the type, the software will automatically generate a task of scrolling pages. The third type, Scroll to Load plus Next Page button. This type usually doesn't have the Next Page button on the current page, and it needs to be scrolled multiple times to see it. After selecting the type, the software will prompt to scroll the page first, so that the Next Page button is displayed. Then click the Next Page button on the page. Next, let's introduce the difference between the scraping tasks corresponding to these three paging settings. The first is the Next Page button. The internal loop is to extract data, and the internal loop is to click the Next Page button. If you want to modify the scraping range, you can click the internal loop component and then modify the number of page turns. If you want to reserve more time for web page loading, you can drag a wait component between two loop components. Then set a waiting time, which can be a random value or a custom value. Then take a look at Scroll to Load. The difference with the previous type is that there is not a click component in internal loop, but a scroll component. Similarly, you can modify the number of page turns or add a wait component. Finally, let's take a look at the type of Scroll to Load plus Next Page button. This type is based on the first type and adds a scroll component before the data extraction loop. The default scroll mode is to scroll to the bottom of the page, so that the page loads the content. You can also modify it to scroll one screen height, and set a fixed number of scrolls. In the process of scrolling the page, the loading time of the web page content may be different, and some web pages may even be stuck for a long time. You can set to wait for unlimited or custom seconds after each scroll. If you set a fixed seconds, but the web content is not loaded when the waiting time ends, the current task will stop ahead of time. That's all for today. Thank you.